Hello guys, today we're going to learn about how to make a text-to-voice with a very good pronounce and with any voices that you want that you have without even need to train it. So every voice is going to work as long as you have a WAV file of that voice there and it's only voice really better, and you could have a random intonation and a bunch of setting. It's really work wonder, and it's great to read a book, making a review, and other stuff. Here's some example.
Though fierce as tiger soldiers be, battles are won by strategy. A hero comes, he gains renown, already destined for a crown.
Though fierce as tiger soldiers be, battles are won by strategy. A hero comes, he gains renown, already destined for a crown.
Though fierce as tiger soldiers be, battles are won by strategy. A hero comes, he gains renown, already destined for a crown.
Though fierce as tiger soldiers be, battles are won by strategy. A hero comes, he gains renown, already destined for a crown.
Though fierce as tiger soldiers be, battles are won by strategy. A hero comes, he gains renown, already destined for a crown.
Though fierce as tiger soldiers be, battles are won by strategy. A hero comes, he gains renown, already destined for a crown.
Though fierce as tiger soldiers be, battles are won by strategy. A hero comes, he gains renown, already destined for a crown.
Okay, that's the example. What you need to do first is you need to install Python. I suggest you should use Python 3.9.13, but it could work with either Pythons, but you will have a hard time to increase its speed without 3.9, because if you want to use a wheel for DeepSpeed, I only know what it worked with Python 3.9, so I suggest you install that. And you could also have a bunch of Python in your PC, doesn't matter, but make sure install this, and then when you want to play or set up the AI voice cloning for the first time, just change this Python name for the other Pythons. For example, I have Python 3.9 and Python 3.10. I just changed the name for the Python 3.10, so when the environment variable access, they're not gonna find 3.10 and use Python 3.9 instead. But if you want to do anything else later on, just repair this and turn off the 3.9 by changing its name. It's very simple as that. Or you could edit the environment variable and delete the 3.9. But this way I think it's more simple. After Python, you also have to have Visual Studio's library that is for C++, for Python and other stuff. But make sure you have the Python stuff. Also have other videos for this, Pythons and Visual Studio library. I put the link below. And also for Git. So make sure you have 3 and maybe FFmpeg. I don't think it's needed, but it can be heard if you have some trouble. Next, as usual, just copy paste this link. Now we're going to the command prompt. Just when you want to install it. As usual, git clone. And it's going to create a folder. Done. Okay, now you will have this folder. First, what you need to do is to set up CUDA. Set up CUDA bot here. Just double click here. It's going to do the rest for you. And this thing, I installed it using RTX 4060 Ti Super. No, not Super, 16 gigs. I use GTX 6060 Super for this. It's installed, it's working, but it's really slow, so I don't recommend it. using with that. Okay, it's going to install. It's gonna take quite a while, so okay, when you ask this, you could just select directory, I guess. Doesn't matter. And then it's done. You just select start back here. For the very first time, it's going to do very slow, so don't worry. It's just how it's set up. Because you need to download things. Maybe I just skip it. Let's download things. Okay, after it's finished, you know, the first time it's going to download a bunch of things. Pretty big. For the models, 2 gigs and 1.18 gigs. So it's going to take some time. After that, download more stuff. And if it informs you it finished, you're going to be able to access it in your local host. So let's access localhost. Yeah, this is, you need to check the setting. Everything is fine for now. You don't need to change anything. And yeah, this is what I'm talking about. DeepSpeed. For now, you cannot use it. For now, just use whatever you have. Voice is random. But you need to use experimental setting. So I suggest, for now, let's just test this out. Hello, guys. The first time you do it, it's going to take some time too, because it's going to download another diffuser, and then it start generating things.
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
Since you use random voice, it's going to change every time you generate. This on itself is pretty good.
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
And it's going to keep using other voice because you don't decide what voice you use.
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
And you could play it, you know, this setting. And set it to ultra fast, of course.
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
And the more sample you use, it's going to be better. Iteration also like that. But the more you use that, the longer it will become.
Welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw.
Yeah, sometimes it's generate bad things. So remember to just set this up.
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
And play the setup. If you want to fast, it's going to use a lot, so don't use fast, you know. 1630, I think is pretty good, or 1632.
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
If you only need text to speed, then we're done. But of course, we don't want to use this only. We need to use other people's voice, right? So the first step is done. If you're able to do this and it's played, then you could move on to the second step, that is preparing a voice file. You could take the voice file from the internet, from YouTube and stuff, but make sure you convert it to WAV. And if the voice has like a background music and stuff, you could remove the background music using MrQ RVC. You know, video in the description, removing or separating between vocal and instruments. For example, I have a bunch of voices, like Ryuji voices. I got it from YouTube here.
Damn it. All this bumping around is hurting my ass.
And I converted it to world leader. Or let me be frank, it's Frank Underwood voice.
I mean, after all, we shared everything, you and I.
And make sure you take out that water things voice.
For me, the
or
best bro I know.
Bernie Stinson voice. Okay. What you need to do is go to the AI voice cloning folder, and here you will need a voice folder. Create a new folder here. For example, you name it Barney Stinson. and then paste the WAV file here. And you could add another folder too for other voices. Okay, I add a bunch of files here. You could put like one voice, or you could like a bunch of voice like here. I add it's going to generate models for them later on. So for Brownie-Stinson, it's not yet generate models. So we're going to use this, for example. Okay, after you add the voice file, just search for voice list, and you will have this folder that you created. For now, let's try Brownie-Stinson, and let's generate here. Since this is the first time doing it, it's going to take some time for it to generate a voice file, but it's not going to be that long. And remember, the more you have, or the longest and the lot of files that you have, it's going to take longer. So make sure you remember that. I mean, 2 or 3 minute voice file is already generate quite a good voice. Longer, of course, gonna generate better, clear intonation and stuff, but remember, make sure you have a voice that is consistent. Okay, this is already done.
Hello guys, welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
Okay, it's a little like Barney. Maybe you could increase the samples. I mean, if you have DeepSpeed, you could use a larger sample with increased speed.
Hello guys, welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
And the intonation gonna be changed depending on the seed.
Hello guys, welcome back with me, Saw 2025. Welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
Let's try P.
Hello guys, welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
Yeah, I think P is better.
Hello guys, welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
It's gonna be legendary. It's gonna be, wait for it, Gary. Legendary. So yeah, it's going to take some time if you don't have DeepSpeed. And don't use GTX 610 Super for this. It's working, but one like sentence, it takes too long to load. I already give up on this when I don't have RTX 4060.
Hello guys, welcome back with me, Saw 2025. It's gonna be legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Legendary.
Legendary. Okay, whatever. That's now Frank Underwood. Let's generate it. If you have good chip CPU, you could use standard. Like usual, this is the first time we do it, so it's going to take some time. And what it's better from other text-to-voice is that it have random intonation. So you could keep generating until you want the kind of voice that you want. And it also could use emotion from here, but I don't find it's really exact, especially if you have used this custom.
Hello guys, welcome back with me, Saw 2025. It's gonna be legend. Wait for it. Dairy legendary.
Legendary. Okay, my Frank Underwood is not clean up, unlike the Brownie-Stinson, so it's like generate noises. So make sure you clean up the voice before. First, remove the voice and instrument using the RVC, Mangio RVC. And then the second one is remove the noises that left using Audacity. That's what I usually do. So that's what you should do. Or else you will have noise. If you have noise in your voices, you will have noise here.
Hello guys, Welcome back with me, Saw 2025. It's gonna be legend. Wait for it. Dairy, legendary.
Let's try using emotion. I mean, we could increase its speed.
Hello guys, welcome back with me, Saw 2025.
There's a noise.
It's gonna be.
Okay, that's Frank Underwood. Oh, this is the setup I had for UG. Like usual, it's reading from Latin because we already created Latin.
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2020. He's gonna... Wait for it. Legendary.
Okay. That's really bad.
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2020. Fade! Let's gonna be. Legend. Wait for it.
Dairy.
Legendary.
Okay. Okay, guys, so you could use DeepSpeed to increase the speed here. Just check this speed for speed bumps. And you need to add a speed wheels. Wheels. DeepSpeed wheels for Python 3.9. I'm not the one who created it. It's created by Jared. So you should check his YouTube. Go to his YouTube channel for DeepSpeed and how to install it. But after that, I will go show you how the difference between having that and not having that. Okay, guys, let's try T264. It's using DeepSpeed. And this is actually the setup that I usually use. So yeah. And
Hello, guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2025. It's gonna be legend. Wait for it. Dairy, legendary.
okay, it's pretty fast, right? It's way different from before. And you know, I actually with DeepSpeed, I only use this setup, and it's usually already generate good voices. Just remember the setup here. 8 second for 7 second voice. It's already pretty good.
Guys. Welcome back with me, Saw 2025. It's gonna be legend. Wait for it. Dairy legendary.
Dairy legendary. Okay. This is what I usually use. And you know, let's use a proper sentence, not something like this.
Welcome back with me, Saw 2025. It's gonna be legend. Wait for it. Dairy legendary.
Generate this Frank Underwood code. 40 second, 18 second.
Money is the McMansion in Sarasota that starts falling apart after 10 years. Power is the old stone building that stands for centuries. I cannot respect someone who doesn't see the difference.
We don't try a woman voice yet, so I'm going to give you an example of a woman voice.
Money is the McMansion in Sarasota that starts falling apart after 10 years. Power is the old stone building that stands for centuries. I cannot respect someone who doesn't see the difference.
See, center it again. If you find that it's not really good, you could increase samples or iteration.
It's the McMansion in Sarasota that starts falling apart after 10 years. Power is the old stone building that stands for centuries. I cannot respect someone who doesn't see the difference.
And UG.
Money is the McMansion in Sarasota that starts falling apart after 10 years. Power is the old stone building that stands for centuries.
I cannot respect someone who doesn't see the difference.
Money is the McMansion in Sarasota that starts falling apart after 10 years. Power is the old stone building that stands for centuries. I cannot respect someone who doesn't see the difference.
Okay. Now let's try my favorite voice. And you know, you could do long sentence like this, I usually double this, like 10 sentence, 11 sentence, it could work. So you don't need to set one sentence at a time. A lot of sentence is working. Depending on your VRAM, of course. So if you don't have very little VRAM, don't do it a lot because it's going to have a problem. And make sure you have WAV file, WFE file, WAV file to use, and not MP3 or other stuff, because it's going to consume the VRAM. For very little MP3, it's going to cost a lot more VRAM, so don't use that. Of course, long sentence can generate a long time, but it's 50 seconds for 66 seconds.
The inhabitants of China are known to the world as Chinese. They speak of themselves as the people of Han. As Han is name of a dynasty, it hardly denote the origin of the people. Many theories, based more or less upon religious myths, have been advanced to show whence the first inhabitants of China came. But their correctness must necessarily await further scientific discoveries. All accounts, however, agree that the basin of the Yellow River was the cradle of the Chinese culture, and that their ancestors were a nomadic people who, some 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, migrated from the northwestern part of Asia and finally settled in the north and central part of what is now China.
Okay, you could also use other language as your base model, but the result not going to be really great. For example, this is not using English, the voice is using other language, and we're going to hear how it talk. And remember, this is using DeepSpeed for speed bump. If you don't use DeepSpeed, don't generate long sentences. It's gonna take a very long time, and this speed only affect the samples. So if you already reduce you only use 1 or 2 samples, it's not gonna increase your speed much.
The inhabitants of China are known to the world as Chinese. They speak of themselves as the people of Han. As Han is name of the dynasty, it hardly denote the origin of the people. Many theories, based more or less upon religious myths, have been advanced to show whence the first inhabitants of China came, but their correctness must necessarily await further scientific discoveries. All accounts, however, agree that the basin of the Yellow River was the cradle of the Chinese culture, and that their ancestors were a nomadic people who, some 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, migrated from the northwestern part of Asia and finally settled in the north and central part of Asia, and finally settled in the northern central part of what is now China.
Okay. It's not really that bad, right? Using other language. And this is using English voice of woman. Okay, that's error. Let's do this thing, because I have other models for this. You could actually train your own models here, but I think that's for another time. That's right.
The inhabitants of China are known to the world as Chinese. They speak of themselves as the people of Han. As Han is name of a dynasty, it hardly denote the origin of the people. Many theories, based more or less upon religious myths, have been advanced to show whence the first inhabitants of China came, but their correctness must necessarily await further scientific discoveries. All accounts, however, agree that the basin of the Yellow River was the cradle of the Chinese culture, and that their ancestors were a nomadic people who, some 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, migrated from the northwestern part of Asia and finally settled in the northern central part of what is now China.
Okay. We could also use others diffusion aggressive VTH model if you want to train. For example, I trained Lisa and Air for 500 epochs or 200, I kind of forgot. So let's use these random models. Not random, but original models that we create. So you will see the difference or not. Is it worth it to train a new models, or you simply use the original models? this is the same Lisa on, but using the model that are trained using her own voice. Because you could actually training a model here using this. Whether or not, it's depend on how you see it. But for me, the original already very good. Okay, this is Lisa using her own training model.
The inhabitants of China are known to the world as Chinese. They speak of themselves as the people of Han. As Han is name of a dynasty, it hardly denote the origin of the people. Many theories, based more or less upon religious myths, have been advanced to show whence the first inhabitants of China came. But their correctness must necessarily await further scientific discoveries. All accounts, however, agree that the basin of the Yellow River was the cradle of the Chinese culture, and that their ancestors were a nomadic people who, some 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, migrated from the northwestern part of Asia, and finally settled in the northern central part of Asia, and finally settled in the northern central part of what is now China.
Yeah, okay. And that's pretty good. With the noise, you could actually handle the noise later using other stuff like increasing sample or just manually removing it using Audacity. Because, increasing sample might take a lot of your GPU, but using Audacity or other software, just, faster. Anyways, I think that's it for today's video. Hope it helped. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, and see you again on the next episode. Have a nice day.